Thank you, John, and I'll never forget your last name again. Could I ask all those who helped John with the campaign, would you please stand too? Let's give you a round of applause. All those who helped with the United Way campaign. Thank you so much. Gaston College, you know, is very well recognized in this community, and part of that is your involvement and your support. So I thank you for what you have done and what you will do. And thanks again, John. I know it's extra to do this, but we really appreciate your support. And I know it comes from the heart, from the experiences that you've had. We can make a difference. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ammons, and he's going to share some of the things that are happening on the academic side this year. Dr. Ammons? And Cherry Deal, I think, is coming right after you.
I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me all right when I stand like this? Or do I have to get down where Dr. Skinner is? It is my pleasure to give this report for Dewey Dellinger, who's walking around Europe. Of course, Dewey's backup was Jennifer Nichols, and she's not here today either. So if you'll help me channel them, and then if we have some questions, I might be able to answer them, or I'll deflect them to somebody who has some sense. The student success update is today a combination of all of our student success initiatives. If you remember, we're doing Achieving the Dream, we're doing Completion by Design. You know, we have the QEP, which is really a student success initiative, the performance measures that Dr. Skinner talked about. All of those things are aiming towards student success. So what has happened is that we had like an Achieving the Dream core and data team. Those teams have now become really our student success teams. Those teams that were constructed for that now are kind of taking purview over everything and still meeting. And Dewey has an additional kind of a leadership team that has folks additionally from the QEP and the performance measures areas. So, Achieving the Dream, we had to submit several priorities for them. Dewey may have talked to you a little bit before about these, but just let me go through them again fairly quickly. We want to, as you can see, increase the percentage of new students successfully completing their developmental sequence. Our second priority is closing the achievement gaps for African American students in developmental courses. Priority 3 is improving the term-to-term or the persistence, retention and completion of students. We are in the middle, and for those areas, we really have several initiatives, and you're going to see that what we've tried to do is take initiatives that we are already working with and infuse those into those 3 priorities for Achieving the Dream. So even if Achieving the Dream wasn't around, we would still be doing the developmental ed course redesign to reduce the amount of students' time spent in developmental education. However, because we are doing Achieving the Dream, we're going to be collecting more data. Probably it's going to be a more robust activity than it would have been had we not been in Achieving the Dream. Same with multiple measures. You know, those are going to help us with our Achieving the Dream priorities, but again, those are ways, and if you remember what multiple measures are, that is students being able to place right into gateway courses from high school without taking a placement test if they have a 2.6 or higher in high school, or if they get the SAT or ACT score that places them there. In other words, what it will do is get them into those gateway courses quicker, and we'll move them through our system rather than taking a lot of other steps. The North Carolina diagnostic and assessment placement test. That is a test that's being worked on at the state level. That is, if you remember, prescriptive, diagnostic prescriptive, so that students won't have to take, if they don't do well on one module, they may not have to take some other modules. And I think Cherry may even talk a little bit more about that. One of the things that we're doing that probably is not, it is new because of Achieving the Dream, is we are putting together placement test preparation materials and emails to link to those materials, and you'll see that pop up again in a minute. So in other words, we're trying to help folks who are going to be taking that placement test. We've done that for years with Lincoln County students with our earlier placement tests, and it did seem to make a difference. First time this year we've had in-person orientation for first-time developmental students. I don't know if Cherry will say anything about that still, but it was great. It was voluntary. They had a whole lot more people come to that than they expected. It's amazing when you offer something like this, people actually come. And I think they really did get a good jump start on coming to college. If you remember the Comprehensive Articulation Agreement, that's another initiative that we're into that we'll be collecting robust data on to report back to these other initiatives. And that one is kind of midway. The idea is that anybody who comes to a community college and graduates will have their courses taken at the four-year universities and taken in their majors. The original idea of the Comprehensive Articulation Agreement was just that. But when they did a study a year or two ago, they found out that all universities, I think you might have heard this before, of all the universities in North Carolina, the amount of courses that all of them took for the major was one, English 111. Well, got to get back to the original intention. Got to get back to, if folks are taking these courses, that they will transfer. They all transferred in, by the way, like Comprehensive Articulation Agreement, but they may not have transferred for the kind of credit that folks needed. We're also looking at reverse transfer. That's a situation where if a student leaves here before they've completed their associate degree, and if they go on to a four-year college and they complete those requirements, we'll identify those students and award an associate degree to them. One of the things that we are looking at with data rather than just thoughts and feelings are our local prerequisites, those courses that we're saying students need to have before they can go into a course. If it's not supported by data, we're dropping those local prerequisites. Again, it's a way to move a student through faster if we don't have data to support our practice. And a new thing, you may have maybe even heard of all those, but another thing that we're going to be doing that's really new this year is, and I think comes a lot from that SEM group that was here on campus, advising throughout the student life cycle, and that's something that we're going to be researching this year. And Dr. Skinner talked about Dr. Rob Johnstone. We also have a couple of other professional development opportunities for folks with Al Duncan and with the diverse backgrounds, which is really a primary focus in Achieving the Dream. And collaborative learning. I don't know if you folks realize that we do this collaborative learning, the CSSE, C-C-S-S-E-E survey each year, randomly sent out to different classes. Some of you instructors have had them taken. And we do very well on that, but it puzzles us that we don't meet our benchmark fairly consistently on collaborative learning, which we feel like we should be really good at. But it doesn't put us up in that benchmark. So these folks came and talked to some of us last year. We didn't have the best participation rate. And what I'd like is if the department chairs and the deans, if you can work out any way to to allow your faculty to attend some of these. That's like a half a day. So if you do Blackboard or something during that time to allow the in some way to allow faculty to attend that would be really great. You have a handout that looks like this. This is a depiction of the completion by design pathway, that other large initiative that we're in. And it has these 4 different areas that you can see, completion by design. It's saying here's where you have to be good to actually design a good pathway for students to complete. It's no longer just access to community college, it's completion in community college. And so there's points of connection, entry, progress, and completion. If you would look in the lower left-hand side, you're going to see a little legend there that if your colors are the same as mine, that there's a green dot for CBD, which means completion by design, a yellow dot that's for achieving the dream, a light blue dot for the QEP, and a dark blue dot for performance measures. I think this will give you a picture, which is worth more than 1,000 words, on what we're doing at Gaston College in our student success efforts. What Dewey and Jennifer, I believe, were most involved with creating this, they did, was that they tried to show what are we doing in connection. And so you can see in the connection, we're accelerating pathways, that which is an achieving the dream, which is a completion by design effort. And we've got those areas in career and college promise, early college, basic skills plus. So if you look down there, you'll see a lot of completion by design there in the connection area, the placement testing, basic skills plus, recruitment, where we're going to have a free college day, which will be fun for the people to come in from the community and take a college class to see what it's like. Web page redesign, which you just heard about, which is huge. Early college exploration, etc. Now, if you look at the next one, entry, you're going to see on the top the different strategies that we're into. I talked about investigating our local prereqs. So you can see there the different things are from completion by design and achieving the dream. If you look below entry, these are what we're expecting for outcomes. We're expecting a lower proportion of students coming directly from high school that place below college level. You see the next one with the arrow going up. We are hoping to have an increased proportion of students who start below college level and complete recommended remediation within 1 year. Do you follow how you read this? So if you look at the very last one there, developmental student success rate in college level math courses, that's both an ATD and it's a performance measure that we're getting funded on. So I won't go through this whole thing, but if you will see the types of initiatives that we have on the top, redesigning our programs of study, et cetera, and how we are going to be measuring our success in the expected outcomes. How many, what proportion of students are persisting from to fall term, and then you can see in terms of completion, what we're doing in terms of updating our comprehensive articulation agreement, transfer, and things like we're hoping that we have a higher proportion of students who receive certificates that take less than a year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 4, etc. This gives you, I think, a pretty good idea of the amount of activity that's going on in this college to promote student success. And I would have people stand up who are involved in this, but I don't think there'd be anybody sitting. And again, I would like to, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those. But at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Cherry Deal, who is our department chair for developmental education.
We just finished our first DMA 4-week session. on September 13th, which was also Friday the 13th. And it lived up to its superstition because it was a madhouse for us on Friday the 13th. First, let me say we like the way we have the courses built. We like the content in them. We make the students are required to make 90s or higher on all their assignments before they can move on. So they have to make a 90 on the first assignment before they can move on to the second one, 90 on that one before they move on to the other. And so they're not able to skip assignments, and they're not able to just get by. They're having to keep working on that assignment until they make a 90. Then every so often we have quizzes to summarize everything they've done so far, and they have to make an 80 on the quizzes with the exception of a final review quiz at the end of the module. And then the final exit test, they have to make an 80, which is a grade set previously by the state. So they can work on assignments, daily assignments, and quizzes as many times as they want, as long as they want from home, but the exit test has to be done on campus in a proctored environment, and it's password protected. So that's where our Friday the 13th was. So we feel like we've got the course set the way we want, but we still have to work on a lot of the logistics on the testing, because those last couple of days of our session were very hectic. We had students trying to test, at the same time students trying to get ready to test. We had instructors proctoring the test at the same time they were trying to help the students. So it was very stressful and hectic for the students, the instructors, and the Learning Center, because they had to deal with this too. So since then, we've met with the Learning Center, Conrad Martin, Jenna Deal, and we've got some things ready. So we're hoping this next 4 weeks is going to be fine. What I've got up here is some data that Heather Woodson got together. It came from Dewey Dellinger's office. And I have learned since then that data that comes from Dewey's office is commonly referred to as Dewey data. So this is Dewey data that Heather sent me. You can see the first column, 2011-12, that's when we taught the old curriculum with Math 60, Math 70, Math 80. 2012-13, that's the new curriculum. And as I said, with the new curriculum, they can only make 80s and 90s. There's no such thing as anything in the 70s anymore. So if they pass, they're passing with an A or a B average. So what Heather did was took the old curriculum, 2011-12, grades of A's and B's, and compared it to our new curriculum, A's and B's, which now is a P, and look at the percent increase on all of it. Now, we think one reason we're doing so well is because we're putting the students more accountable for their learning. We're not hand-holding them as much anymore. It's up to the students to get through that module to get to that final exit test. And if they don't do their work, they're not going to get there because they cannot skip assignments, and they can't do enough just to get by. So that's one thing that we think is contributing to these amounts. And I noticed the hybrid and the online are doing just as well as the seated class, so I thought that was interesting too. But all of our assignments are online. They can do it all through the internet. This is some data that Caroline Knorr sent me before she moved. It's from our summer classes. We started the DMA classes this summer. They were only 3 weeks for each DMA class. And you can see that in red are our pass rates, and they look really good. Now we know we didn't have as many students, and the students didn't take as many classes, so they could contribute more time towards their math, but we were really, really pleased with this. And you see DMA 40 is the lowest one, and then on this next one, that's 50 through 80, 60 is the other lower one. So these are the 2 harder DMA courses, 40 and 60. What we do to help our students, because these classes are so fast, we don't have time to go over procedures and things like that. We've got to get straight to what they need for this math. So about a week before the classes start, we send all students an email through WebAdvisor. We call it the Hello email. And this email introduces ourselves as an instructor. It talks about what day they have to be in class the first time, what time, where the classroom is. It talks about information to get onto My Math Lab, which is what we use, how to register. So they can go ahead and register ahead of time. There's no assignments available yet because the session hasn't started, but they can get on there and review the syllabus and things like that. Also, Leslie Huss worked on a YouTube video this summer that we give them a link to. It's also on Blackboard and on My Math Lab. This video explains all about the DMA courses. It talks about what you have to do to pass them, how to get on Blackboard, how to register for My Math Lab, how to navigate through the programs once you're in there, what's required. And it's about a 15-minute video, and I was going to show you some of it, but because of time I won't. But if anybody wants that video, it's a really good, professionally done video. Jamie McSwain went through, because we require our adjuncts to send this email too. Everything that we do as a full-time instructor, part-time instructors do. And so she went through and kind of just underlined everything that needs to be changed every time we send this email out, because we're sending it out 4 times every 4 weeks. So we don't want to have to go through and take a lot of time. So it's just kind of a generic email that we can go through and change. During the summer, our no-show date was the very first day of class. And for fall and spring, it's the second class meeting. So if we don't have a student there on the first day of class, we are calling our students by the phone. And if we don't get them on the phone, then we email them. And you'll be surprised that most of the students we contact are there after that. So the contact does help. And of course, if they don't show up, then we send them, we withdraw them, of course, count as a no-show. And on the 13th day, if we withdraw them, that's our 13th day of the session's our withdrawal date, we send them this email. And the reason we send it to them is we want them to understand they don't have to wait till the next semester to register for the class again. They can register for the very next 4 weeks. This fall, we offered the very first four-week session, we offered 33 DMA courses, and we only had 17 students that were no-shows. And for developmental courses, that's pretty good. So we were pleased with that. Our sessions are really 19 days long, and on the 20th day is a transition day. And that transition day is for the students that pass the 4 weeks, for them to re-register into the next 4 weeks, so they don't lose time. And when they don't pass, we take them out of all the DMA classes they had registered for. So if they didn't pass 40, we take them out of 50 and 60 or what other classes they registered for. And we send out about the last of the 3rd week, beginning of the 4th week, we send out this transition day email telling them that if things happen not to go the way you want them to, you can still re-register for the next 4 weeks. Don't put it off. Don't get behind in your completion. And this talks about how they can re-register at the dean's offices, registrar's office anytime, but also on that transition day, the DMA instructors are available for them to come to us and let us help them register and figure out their schedule. We give them the locations and the times that we're going to be available. So we made ourselves available at Dallas and Lincoln campuses from 11 to 1 to try to get the people that maybe come on their lunch hour to re-register. And then there's 6 of us, so we divided into 2 so that we were available at all 3 campuses that night from 6:30 to 7:30 to help out the night students. And because that's when the registrar's offices are closed, dean's offices are closed. However, Heather was in her office during that time, so if we had a problem or we needed an override, we could call Heather and she'd take care of it for us. So the transition day email we send out to our current students about the 3rd or 4th week. At the same time, we're sending out the hello document to our new students that we're getting ready to have. So it's constantly getting rid of one and getting another group of the whole time. And it's a little overwhelming. So Sandy Wright had made a check sheet with us with dates and everything so we can give it to adjunct and they know exactly when they're supposed to do this. So that's what we're doing with our current developmental students, but we also want to help those students that place out of developmental due to multiple measures, those students with the 2.6 GPA. Whoops. So what we did was we decided if we could somehow change the thinking of the DMA classes from remedial to refresher courses. That a lot of the students going into, say, Math 171 that really need a lot of help, that they could take some of these refresher courses, maybe even at the same time as Math 171, to kind of brush up on their skills. And I tell my students all the time, there are tons of people at this college with advanced college degrees. But I'm willing to bet that if I gave you a problem and said, factor this polynomial, some of you just look at it. And it's not because you're remedial students. It's because you just need a refresher course. You know the stuff, it's just been a long time, or maybe you never learned how to do it, but you just need somebody to show you again. And that's what our classes are all about. So I think if we can change the way of thinking so that these 2.6 GPA high schoolers don't think they're going backwards, they just think they're getting a refresher course, I think that'll help. Joanne Matz, with the help of Debbie Bowen, came up with this flyer that we're going to post around the campus. And we're also going to give it to math teachers and science teachers so they can let their students know that they can take a DMA class anytime they want to while they're taking their college level courses. There's nothing wrong with that. Joanne also did the bookmarker that's attached to the back of your your agenda and packet there, that green bookmark. That bookmark we're going to give this out to the students, but we also thought you might like to have it. It tells what classes require DMAs as prerequisites and which DMAs are prerequisites for those classes. So that about does it for the math. We've got our planning done. We're implementing it now. The next thing is the reading and the English redesign. So we're going to integrate reading and English into one course. You won't see English 090 or Reading 090 anymore after, hopefully, spring semester. They'll disappear, and you'll have DRE for Developmental Reading English, 96, 97, and 98. These classes are a little bit higher level than what our classes are. For example, English 090 and Reading 090 are highest levels now. DRE 098 is just a little bit higher level than that. So hopefully they're going to come to you even more prepared. Each class is 8 weeks long, 3 semester hours, but 7 contact hours per week. So that's 56 hours in 8 weeks. So it's going to be a very intense course. I'm already talking with Joe Argent. He and I are talking about having students go to an English 098 the first 8 weeks of the semester and go straight to an English 111 the second 8 weeks with the same teacher. It'd be a smooth transition. Get a developmental and a curriculum English out of the way, the gateway English at one time. So our English and reading instructors are already planning this. They meet every week. They are looking at textbooks. They're planning the curriculum. We're hoping to start this summer of 2014, the DRE classes. In the meantime, every English instructor is going to teach a reading class in the spring. Every reading instructor is going to teach an English class in the spring. So they can kind of go ahead and get how that integration is. So I'm sure I'll be talking more to you about that as we go. You'll probably get tired of seeing me before all these things are over with. So that's kind of the way we're going right now. But before I sit down, I just want to have the developmental instructors stand up. And that's not all of them. There's 11 of us full-time. And we are all women, which is why people call us divas. But, but the thing about it is they really are a special group. They work hard. And you know, it's not easy when in your heart you feel like what you're doing is right and you're getting through to students. And somebody on the state level says, sorry, it's not working, you're going to have to change. That's a hard thing to have to cope with. But these instructors just jump in with both feet. They work hard, many hours past what they're supposed to work. And just keep with a positive attitude because they know they have to do this for the students and do what's best. And it's about the students and not about us. Now, that's not to say we don't have gripe sessions and we use choice words. The one lady even threw a little tantrum a couple of weeks ago, but I think she's all right now. But they're, I didn't call any names. But they're a great group of people to work with, and I really appreciate them, and I feel blessed to be a part of that group. The other people I wanted to mention that you don't probably realize do a lot of work on this is Elisa Roy in the registrar's office, Jennifer Nichols in counseling and advising, and Judy Snyder with financial aid. I went to a summit this summer, a DMA summit in Greensboro with them, and I was amazed at all this talk they're doing about data-tel and all this, because all I know is I can go in data-tel and type DMA 010, DO 103 or A or whatever, it magically appears. There's a lot of that behind-the-scenes work that they've done that nobody realizes that they've done to make this work flawlessly, magically. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I wanted to thank them too. And also Conrad Martin and Jenna Deal at the Learning Center. We couldn't do it without them. Conrad Martin's office is in the middle of all the developmental instructors' offices. It's kind of hard on him at times. I was in my office one day, and I actually saw him leave, and I heard one of the instructors say, Conrad, I need to ask you something. He must have started walking a little bit faster because she said, don't run, I will chase you down. So he has it rough, but he makes the most of it. We appreciate him too. Thanks.
I guess you can see that change is the name of the game today, and we really appreciate everybody's cooperation working together. I want to thank Dr. Ammons for his leadership, Dr. Hussein on the student services side, and Cherry Deal. If it wasn't for really good leadership, these kinds of changes wouldn't come so easily. And of course, thank all the faculty, because you're the ones that on the front line that have to go through these changes But it's all about success for our students, so thank all of you. One other change, one other thing that's very important to us is our audits, and Elisa Roy is going to talk about some things that are important, because as you know, if we get audit exceptions, we lose funding, and we're not wanting to do that. So, Elisa?
Thank you. And before I talk about that, I just want to thank the DMA faculty for handling transition days. At a lot of the meetings we went to, we heard people in the registrar's office and the counseling offices say, well, we can't trust the math faculty to do that, and at least here we can. And we were all really busy backing them up, so I really appreciate that. That eased our office quite a bit. So we got some guidance from the system office auditing team over the summer related to web attendance. And what they told us 2 years into this project of going paperless is that we need to have instructors fill out the entry information on every single roster, because if you have a seated lecture and an online component, then you have 2 rosters. So I do appreciate all of your help with that, because we understand it is more work for you as instructors to do multiple rosters. So I appreciate that, but it's really important that we have a good audit and that we can count as many students as we can for FTE, especially given the budget situation that we're in. The other thing that we did is we had several meetings with all of the deans and some associate deans and Dr. Emmons and Dr. Dellinger and Dr. Hussein about things that we could do to ease the process, to streamline the process in general. And that's where we came up with the idea of having you turn in 10% course statistics for us to archive earlier in the semester. And so we do realize that you're having to do that twice, once for me at the 10% point and then once for your dean's office at the end. So really I'm up here just to say that I really, really appreciate all your help as instructors. And if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Elisa. And I have to say, going to meetings with my colleagues around the state, I feel very fortunate, because I'm finding everybody here at Gaston has a positive attitude. And as you all know, having a positive attitude certainly makes these changes much easier. And Lisa, I want to thank you for your leadership and your positive attitude, too. Let's give her a round of applause. And the last 2 items we have on the agenda, we're going to hear from Representative of our Staff Senate and Faculty Senate, Josh Crisp, is going to give us an update on the Staff Senate first.
Thank you. Glad to have this time to talk to you. I'm bringing you this message on behalf of Joyce, who's unable to be with us today. Joyce is our president. So we'd like to go on and do that for you. I'd like to introduce first our staff senators whose terms will end June of 15. It's Helene Burnham, Calvin Craig, Emily Dalton, Harriet Dameron, Jenna Deal, Carol Faust, Missy Fox, and Joe Isa. And those folks will be with you for the next couple of years and continue to move these processes forward. One thing we wanted to make sure we reminded you of and recognize, as you know, Carol Faust was our Staff Excellence Award winner here on campus. So she is now in the process of filling out the state paperwork, and we hope that she will win at the state level. We're real confident in that, and she is a very capable and good candidate for that. This year as Staff Senate, as you know, we accept and talk about goals we want to do on a regular basis. This year we decided to keep the goals that we had started last year. We felt like those were very important. A couple of things that we're doing and continuing to work on. One is a centralized training calendar for professional development and the college calendar. Hoping to try to, and working with tech services and those folks, to try to get one place where we can all put professional development so we can see that in a consistent format. We all rely on our calendars, and so that's something we hope to have up and running this year. In addition, we want to continue to host open house sessions with staff and faculty at different buildings and different areas. We all talk to people on the phone every day, and sometimes we don't know who those folks are. So we hope to kind of foster some meetings of those and let everybody know who everybody is and have a good time with that fellowship. We also are working on a staff mentoring program. Human Resources does a wonderful job of getting our new staff up and running and ready to go. But you know, sometimes it's just trying to find somebody to help you know the ropes, so to speak, of the college. So we're hoping to work with that and work with Human Resources directly to assign a mentor to every new staff person. So have an additional person on campus to call as we move forward and go through our daily work. As you all came in, you should have received a customer service recognition little postcard. If you didn't, we'll get you one. But if you look in the back, there's a huge banner that says, "Wow, you rock." That's something we started last year, and I think it's been very, very successful. This gives us an opportunity as faculty and staff to recognize folks that are doing a really good job, that have gone over and above, that are doing what we all do on a daily basis and have that good customer service that we all strive to do. One of the perks of this is we've worked with campus police and the administration. We have the winners monthly will get a designated parking spot. We've had a couple of those done so far, and I think a couple of those have been during registration in the first few days of class, so that's a really good perk. Actually, right now I'm going to ask Jenna Deal, who's one of our winners and also a staff senator, if she'll come up and kind of tell us how that helped her out.
Good afternoon. I was excited to receive the first official customer service recognition that Gaston College selected. It was an honor to be nominated. All of our other nominees were more than deserving of the recognition as well. I will admit, however, that having my own parking space when the fall semester kicked off was certainly an added bonus. More importantly, the customer service recognition is really a great way to show appreciation for our colleagues, and it is a rewarding experience to be nominated and to be able to nominate others. I truly believe that one of the main reasons that students do decide to come to Gaston College is because of the exceptional customer service that we do provide. We are fortunate to have so many wonderful faculty and staff who demonstrate commitment to customer service on a daily basis. So please do take a few minutes to recognize someone who does that. It is a simple but meaningful gesture that will go a long way for those whom you nominate. And many thanks for your support of our customer service recognition program. Thanks.
Thanks, Jenna. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with the fact that our next Staff Senate meeting is October the 10th in David Belt Cannon Room 180. You are all obviously welcome to attend and love to see you there. If anything that you need, let any of the staff senators know. We'll be happy to help you out and bring that up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and thank you to all of the staff members who serve us by being on the staff. And now I'm pleased to introduce our Faculty Senate President this year, Calvin Shaw, who's going to give you an update on some of the things that are happening with the faculty. Calvin.
Travis, if you could cue up that 45-minute video I got. Since I know just kidding, it's okay. It's easy. I'm the last presenter and I'm the one that's standing between cookies and Kool-Aid, so I'll make this pretty short. I try to get directly to the point in the first place. I am proud to be the Faculty Senate President this year. I've been on the Senate for 4 years. I've been working here full-time for 4 years. Because when I first came here, it was like, hey, you're new blood. Get on the Faculty Senate. I didn't know any better, and I've been privileged ever since I actually know what's going on. And I would encourage the faculty that are in attendance here to do the same. We actually have representatives that sit on just about every committee in the college, just about, or have a representative there so you know exactly what's going on. I don't do this by myself, and for those faculty senators that are present, if you would, just go ahead and stand up, and I'd like to give you some recognition for serving on the Faculty Senate, or raise your hand. While the Faculty Senate, we can't solve every problem, we know that. We're not trying to solve every problem. What we're trying to do is actually come to an agreement working with the staff, working with the administration, and working with students. Because we're here for the students, that's what we're here about, and to make things always better. What I like about Gaston College is every presenter so far that you heard today was striving to make the college better for the students. The Faculty Senate is no different. Currently we have 3 openings on the Faculty Senate. And I would tell you, I would encourage you to apply. If you want to know what's going on in the college, if you want to make a difference, if you want to be part of the solution, please join the Faculty Senate. You're going to learn a lot more than you'll ever know, and you'll like it. I mean, trust me, you will. Now, those people look at it like, oh no, you don't want to do that, but you will. Couple of things we're working on this year, just so you know. One, now that I talked to John and we're talking about professional development, we want to be able to make professional development be videotaped, recorded some way that our staff, our faculty that cannot be present at during the time when it's being presented can actually go back at a specific location and see it and get credit for that professional development. I think that would help everybody. Most of you got an email, I guess it was today, about a one-time office hour reduction for full-time faculty. That was actually just brought up at our last faculty senate meeting that we had. And it was already, this is how fast things actually can work, believe it or not, so you can see that. We want to work more closely with the staff senate, you know, so you will see some conjunction there, some maybe we'll do some type of meetings and conjoining there. And we're going to update the intranet for the faculty senate. I know if you check on it, it's not been updated in a while. That'll be updated too with the most up-to-date information, and also to have the meeting minutes. So if you have any concerns or cares or questions, get up with your faculty senator, make them aware of your concerns. We will take that. I urge you, if you have any questions whatsoever, attend the meetings. They'll be on the internet hopefully next week, you know, but we'll see where it goes. I hope you have the best semester. If you have any questions, contact me.
First of all, thank you to everybody who presented today. As Calvin said, we are all about seeing what we can do to make things even better. We are a great college, and with all of your help, we're going to be even better, and that is on behalf of our students, and that's what's really important. When I went to the Faculty Senate meeting, they asked about taping these meetings, because we know it's not possible with 3 campuses and all the classes we offer for everybody to attend a meeting at the same time. So we have started taping these meetings, and we also will have some handouts that we'll be sending out through email in the next couple of days with the information that was presented in this meeting, so that everybody can have the same information. I want to thank all of you for what you do every day to help our students and to help them to meet their goals. And this time, it's time for refreshments. So thank you for coming.